Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Shri Sadguru Paramatmane Namaha. Sarva Maharshibhyo Namaha. The attributes of the Yogarudha are mentioned. Fourth sloka. Yada hi nendriyarteshu na karma svanusajyate sarva sankalpa sannyasi Yogarudhastadochyate. Substance. When the sage feels no attachment for sense objects and actions, renouncing the egocentric will, sankalpa, then he is said to be enthroned in yoga. Commentary. The words yada and tada are used to point out the exact moment when the sage is called a yogarudha. Three conditions are to be fulfilled. First, non-attachment to sense objects. Second, non-attachment to actions. Third, renunciation to all thoughts. So long as the mind is attached to sense objects, it runs outwards for the enjoyment of the worldly pleasures. When the mind does not turn inwards, meditation is not possible. When dispassion develops, the outgoing tendency of the mind stops, and then it can easily be trained to look for the self within. Nishkama karma develops dispassion. When the mind finds happiness in Atma, man loses all pleasure in action. Moreover, as the mind is detached from the senses, no action can take place because contact with the external world is possible only through the senses. Actionlessness occurs in the higher stages of sadhana. Some great sages who have passed beyond all relative thoughts and are established in perfect yoga come down from the supreme state to act in the world for the good of humanity. Renunciation of the egocentric will is the third attribute of Yogarudha. First of all, bad thoughts should be replaced by good thoughts, and then all thoughts should be given up. When there are no thoughts, the sage is enthroned in yoga, union with the self. The common man should complete the preliminary education of the mind to give up impure and sinful thought. Noble ideals, good aims, useful activity, selfless work, all this should be assiduously cultivated. There is no other way to purify the mind. The study of the Shastras, company of holy men, association with the good people are helpful to strengthen the good and eliminate the evil. Divine and devotional thoughts and feelings should become natural to the mind. Afterwards, when the mind, through intense meditation, reaches the self and tastes the infinite bliss, good thoughts also come to an end. When the mind merges in Atma, Atma alone exists. This is the thought-free state of the Yogarudha. It is not emptiness or nothingness, because in the thought-free state, the all-pervading knowledge, consciousness is fully awake, though there is no mind. Some great sages who come down to the relative plane of the mind work for the good of mankind. Question. What are the attributes of a Yogarudha? Answer. Non-attachment to sense objects and actions. Renunciation of all thoughts are the attributes of a Yogarudha. To reach the state of Yogarudha, each man has to lift himself up by his own self-effort. Fifth sloka. Uddharethatmanatmanam atmanatmanam avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano buddhiratmaiva ripuratmanaha. Substance. Let one rise the self by the self and not let the self go down. For the self is the friend of self and the self is the foe of the self. Commentary. The Lord declares that each individual should lift himself up by his own effort. The Shastras and the Guru point the way. Each one has to tread the path himself. I has to see with his own eyes. He has to see with his own eyes, walk with his own legs, satisfy his hunger by feeding himself. Man is the architect of his own destiny, the pilot of his own fate. God helps those who help themselves. To think that God would take the people to the land of peace while they live a life of idleness and sensuality is utterly wrong. So also, no teacher, however great he might be, can take a person to freedom if he does not show praise to himself. They cannot give a passport to immortality if he does not strive to purify himself and live the life of godliness. One has to pay the price even for a small article in the market. Thus, we can imagine what price a man has to pay to obtain eternal joy and peace. Will idleness purchase this immortal blessing? How much effort, struggle, striving is needed to attain freedom? So let each man work diligently by carrying out the instructions of the Shastras and the Guru. Finally, it is the self that realizes the self. The Lord makes it clear to all seekers that they should not expect any sudden transformation from one state to another by any sort of miracle or jugglery. It is a hard struggle from first to last. One should be prepared for it if he wants the highest reward of life. When one sees a Mahatma, he wishes to be like him, untouched by an awe, beyond all trouble and turmoil. But let us understand how he reached that state, what intense tapas he did, what rigorous of discipline he underwent, what devotion and dispassion he practiced, how long and hard he fought the battle against the inner enemies of lust and greed, and how finally he attained the position of the Jivan Mukta. The effort was done all by the man himself with the grace of God and Guru. Maharshi Vasishta tells Sri Rama that the Guru's teachings to the disciple is the Vedic tradition only. All the actual work is to be done by oneself. The sick man should take the medicine himself if he should be cured. No one else can swallow the medicine and bring him relief. The fitful fever of life in which a man lives in a delirious state is to be overcome by personal knowledge and austerity. The Lord gives the warning that man should not degrade himself. Do not let yourself go down, is the Lord's command. Ascent is difficult, descent is easy. Whenever the lower instincts are provoked, man descends to the level of the beast. Reason and rational judgment seems to be powerless before the raging passions of animality, and yet there is no man who does not believe that he is made for nobler and higher things than to live and die like a beast. It is this inner urge that should be kept up, strengthened, and brought to the foreground of man's consciousness. The aspiration to rise to a higher plane should turn bright in the heart of man, and then begins the ascent. The human mind is a battlefield of conflicting forces, good dharma and evil adharma. The mind is thus split into two hostile camps. With diligent perseverance, man should hold on to dharma. The mind should be saturated with noble aims and ideals. The lives of great men should be read, and one should identify himself with their noble achievements. The good in man is thus vitalized, and the evil gradually loses its mental grip over him. That is why the Lord here says that the mind is both a friend and a foe. The impure mind is the foe, and the pure mind is the friend. The mind is but a series of thoughts coming and going like the waves of the ocean. The mind is good, and when a good thought comes, it is evil when a bad thought comes. So, one should generate as many good thoughts as possible continuously and cling to them at all costs. Japa is nothing but holding to the spiritual idea. Study of the Shastras and holy works create an atmosphere of purity. These are all aids to suppress the evil and neutralize its venom. The Lord throws the whole responsibility on oneself for this salvation and domination. Ascend, do not go down. Your fate is in your own hands. Strive and succeed. This is the Lord's inspiring call to mankind. Who can save man from samsara? Answer: man should save himself. He should not go down like a rubber ball dropped on a staircase. Question: who is the friend and foe of man? Answer: his own mind is the friend as well as the foe. A pure mind is a friend, an impure mind is a foe.